On second thought, I'm not sure I need this cape. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I've been asked to speak about the topic, no cape needed. As I prepared for this on my way from the UK, I was wondering how would I approach the stage. So I thought I'd wear a cape to cover my dress, but then I think I really truly don't need it. In the few minutes I have with you this morning to have this discourse, I'm going to ask you to open your minds to a very new thought process. I'm going to be sharing some stories with you, some examples with you, and at the end of it, it is my hope that your concept of what true superhero is will be changed. So the agenda is really quick. You can scan through it on the screen. And I want you to think about a superhero, because when I was doing this, having failed English myself in high school, I looked in the dictionary, which we hardly use these days, and the definition for superhero, one word stood out for me, and that was fictional. And I thought about what are the examples of superhero that I grew up with. MacGyver was mine. We didn't have television, so everybody would gather somewhere in Jamaica, and we would watch MacGyver, and in my mind, he was my superhero. But fast forward today, my 7-year-old son, my 20-year-old daughter would have used Wakanda for Life. Anybody in here, hoof hoof? Yeah, Wakanda for Life, which is Black Panther, or Superman himself. But I want to take you on a journey with me, so please do allow me to do that. I want to take you on the story of that little girl who grew up in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, who was subject to prostitution, who was subject to drug dealing, and possibly many other things. Bear with me, stay with me. Her childhood was one that was packed with homelessness. She sold mangoes on the train, and that, from what I'm told, is her best and only family picture. That house is an example, or a true representation, in fact, of the home that she grew up in. But then she went to high school, and a teacher started to nurture her. And as I can recall from looking at that picture, she wasn't wearing a cape. By the way, teachers can make or break you. The second person who that little girl met, who shifted the trajectory and the landscape of her life, is the Right Honorable Ambassador Burchell Whiteman from Jamaica. I want you to bear these two people in mind, because they're going to be a huge part of my presentation today, and I'll be swinging back and forth, bringing your attention and your focus back to these two people, because they are heroes and heroines, in fact, without capes. So who are they in our communities? Who are these heroes and heroines without capes and tights? Who are they in Barbados? And that's the question. In a real world like ours, how do superheroes really look? What comes to mind when you think of a superhero? For most of us, we probably think of, Superman, Wonder Woman, or whoever it is. Can you identify any in the room? Some of you know each other here. Do you consider anybody you sat beside, anybody you know, a superhero? I don't need an answer, but I want you to really, truly think about it. Can you think of anyone you've met on your journey lately that is a superhero in the sense that you conceptualize it? I want to change the narrative around superheroes today, because superheroes are not people like Wakanda necessarily, who are fictional, as they say. It is the ordinary man and woman in the community who is helping the homeless. The person who helps that school fee, pay that fee for that child, for that parent who can hardly make it, is that business owner who understands that the lady who cleans his office needs a little extra money at Christmas time. Those are superheroes, in my opinion. And I really want you to examine yourselves as business leaders today. While you're sitting here listening to this little girl from Jamaica, talking to you who know better than me about business, about who you should be as a superhero. I want you to think about it as we go through this discourse together. When they asked me to do this topic, I was really thinking about Bajans, and I hope I got the word correct today. Bajans, thank you very much, muchas gracias. I was wondering, which Bajan could I find that is not wearing a cape? That's not on Google. That's not somebody who everybody knows. When I ask, I struggled to find, because most people started giving me names of those who I could Google. I didn't want to go to my Uncle Google. I wanted the ordinary, unsung hero in Barbados. And I was lucky last night, with the help of some amazing people, Beverly and her team, to have come up with Sharon Bellamy Thompson. And I asked some Bajans this morning, and they didn't have a clue who she was. Yet, she's been in the community, changing lives, educating, feeding children in Barbados, and is going, to some extent, unrecognized. You see, that lady is a hero. The word hero or heroism has shifted. We've evolved. And I live in London, where there was a time when being a hero or capes were worn by the royal family for mystery and all kinds of things. But today, thank God, with the help of Meghan and others, she's done a lot of work with the United Nations, and I see her as a hero. And if you look at the picture, I'm sure Our Royal Highness, the Queen, may not approve, but she's wearing a pair of jeans. And might I add, it is ripped. So let me ask you, is she a hero? In my opinion, she is. But I thought I'm in Barbados, and I needed the Bajan context. So again, I ask, and yesterday even, believe it or not, was when this went into my presentation, because I was perplexed. I wanted the local context. And I met this young man outside while I was trying to get my snow cone. Yet again, somebody from BIDC introduced me to him. At the end of the conference yesterday, I was still struggling. How am I going to do this presentation? I need a reference from here. And I met Guy Payne, who is an innovator. His cart has solar panels, thermostat, light, horn. Does anybody know him? Like, seriously, that man is an innovator. But what struck me most about him is the fact that not only has he invented this snow cone van, I call it, he has patented it. He's gone, yes, he has. He's gone to that extreme because he realized the potential, and he's now helping his son to use another one in another place. And we had a discussion yesterday, and he said to me, can you tell me what I could do? And I said to him, you probably should go to Nigeria. You probably should get these in South Africa. When I was in Johannesburg in the summer roasting, I didn't see any snow cone man on the road. And I thought, if you can patent this and get it into other countries, then that would be amazing. You see, he, in my opinion, is a superhero. But the community may not know somebody like him, because it's not our reference point as to who a superhero is. I want to take you on this journey with this video. Can we have some volume on this, please?
And to put together meals to go out and give to the homeless. One day, she was out passing meals, and a businessman happened to notice what she was doing. The businessman approached her, and for the first time in her life, she questioned whether her work was actually making a difference.
Hey, I'm sorry, but do you realize how many homeless people there are in the world? Do you really think your work is making any kind of a difference?
Excuse me, ma'am. Thank you. I was gonna go to bed hungry tonight. And I prayed to God to send me some food. And when I opened my eyes, you were there. God bless you.
God bless you too. Well, it made a difference to him.
Every day, we all have an opportunity to make a difference. But with as many problems that are going on in the world, it's hard not to think, how much of a difference can I really make? How is my one small action actually going to change anything? This is especially true when talking about massive social problems like taking on world hunger or homelessness. But what's important to remember is that you don't need to solve the world's problems. You don't need to solve the country's problems or even your cities. But if you just focus on helping to solve one person's problem, to make even a small difference in just one person's life, to that one person, it could mean the world. So remember, if you can just make one person smile, laugh, or feel loved, and treat them with kindness and respect, then you have made a difference.
That woman made a difference to that young man. But the very posh, business-suited man didn't think she was. You see, sometimes we think that making a difference means that we need to do it big, we need to do it large, and we need to do it to a lot of people. But we don't need to do that. If we can make one difference in our small corner, and everybody is doing that, believe me, I'm a product of that, it changes everything. When we all in this room as business leaders who have much more resources in some cases than the average person in Barbados on the street, we can create what is called the ripple effect. But it starts with you deciding that you've got the power to think about yourself as superheroes and start making that change. Because like the tap on the faucet in your house, when that one drip, 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 drip happens because the pipe is broken, it's creating a ripple, just like there. So how can impact Barbados? How can the ordinary Barbados or a Bajan person impact without wearing capes or tights and inspire innovators or innovation? And some of you might be sitting there wondering, what is she talking about? We're doing an innovation conference, and I know that. But I'm here to let you know that true innovation is not just mud tech. It's not just technological innovation. We can do thought and mindset transformational innovation, and that is what I'm here to do. You see, by each person doing their bit, like Burchell Whiteman and Mrs. Taylor, they were doing what was called paying it forward. And if you haven't watched the movie, I was in Belfast last week visiting my family, and yes, I have Jamaican family in Belfast who speak Gaelic. Like, these Jamaicans are there, and I'm thinking, what? This is just so confusing for me, right? Because I'm black, they're black, and they speak. And I'm like, okay, I don't get it. But I was in Belfast last week, and my family said, we need to watch this, paying it forward. And my cousin said to me, you need to watch this because of the work you do. And I was like, oh my God, I'm just here to visit. But when I sat down and watched Paying It Forward, I really got it. It was God speaking to me, and by the way, I'm a Christian and I don't hide my faith. It was God speaking to me about synchronizing that for my speech here, but also reminding me of the work that I do to pay it forward. And paying forward is simple. It means that if you can do something today here as a business leader, or if somebody has done something for you, and you truly decide in your heart that you're going to stop just because you met me today and we had this conversation, that you're going to start thinking about all the people who've done something for you in your past, the ripple that happened for you, you're going to start today. Because sometimes it needs that light bulb moment for you to decide that I really need to do something. Sometimes it needs a reminder like this, that, oh my God, I'm not doing my best. And if you decide that today is the day that you're going to start paying all the things you've got forward without any cape, then you're going to start creating a world where somebody did you something, and rather than giving it back to them, you're going to pay it forward to somebody else. So imagine if we're all in this room, or even 10 business leaders were to leave this room today deciding to pay it forward, what could happen in the world? So because Burchell Whiteman and Mavis Taylor helped that girl, she now is paying it forward. 2 weeks ago, she was in Atlanta in Booker T. Washington High School as the only European who's ever spoken into that school, speaking to disaffected teenage boys and girls who carry guns and marijuana to school about how their background doesn't have to change who they become. But she came to Barbados and she met the BIDC, and what an amazing team of people who are not wearing capes, by the way. And they were fundamentally instrumental in taking her to St. George's School and then St. Michael's School. And together with BIDC, she was paying it forward. And I'm so glad that educational transformation is an innovation by shifting mindset. Because we did that, A young lady in this audience today was given the opportunity of the ripple. And if Destiny is here, I'm going to invite you to join me on stage, because we were able to help Destiny to attend this conference. And because we understood the real concept and the real meaning of innovation by changing the generation below us, we understand that for Barbados to change, the innovation has to start here. We understand the mind is one of the most powerful weapons that you have in your body. And because you cannot keep teaching a man how to take money from you, but instead you can teach him to fish, we did exactly that with Destiny. This young lady's life, I can tell you, will forever be changed. Because first, her name is Destiny. Did you get that? Her name is Destiny. And we charged her, we reminded her that that name means something. And we planted a seed in this young woman. And this is true innovation. We're shifting her mindset. We're engaging her in this kind of atmosphere. How many business leaders could start offering apprenticeship, experience, mentorship, mirroring of what you do with young people like this? Thank you, Destiny. How many businesses can take one school and make the commitment? If you decide that this is your country, this is your land, this belongs to you, then you would start thinking about how you can wear no cape and you can be a superhero. So this young lady decided that she's going to start going around the world, and she's going to start impacting lives all over Europe and North America and Asia. And she's been doing just that because somebody did that for her. Because Burchell Whiteman took off his cape, which is his gray suit, rolled his sleeves up, and said, I'm going to invest in you. And when she was coming to speak, she emailed the Right Honorable Burchell, and she said, Burchell, I'm going to speak in Barbados, and I'm going to use you as one of my examples. And he replied, I was only doing what my mother taught me. Essentially, he was paying it forward. And because Burchell Whiteman has done that, and because Mrs. Taylor did that, that girl who failed English and maths in high school, who was homeless, who was sexually abused by her own father and raped at gunpoint, today uses all of her pain to find her purpose because somebody took their cape off. Because somebody understood that implementing a mindset shift and giving an opportunity to a young mind can change everything. So today she speaks on the BBC, and she's in the Financial Times, and she travels the globe spreading one message, that the word impossible truly means you're possible. And it doesn't matter who she tells, whether it's business leaders at Citibank when she's training, or she's speaking in New York somewhere, or she's in a documentary that was just done about be the change you want to see in the world. She is spreading the ripple. She's paying it forward. She shared the stage with the same stage as Tony Robbins and Les Brown, and that girl failed English in high school. But somebody like you, sitting right here, had the guts, was unapologetic, was non-negotiable about the change that they wanted to do and see in the world, that they could be a change agent, a trailblazer without a cape on them. How many of you here today could be Burchell Whiteman, could be a true innovator, like Burchell was, like Mrs. Taylor was? And I know that the many of you in this room can be exactly that. And so because she understands that Jamaica is where her heart, her soul is, regardless of where she roams, she goes back to Jamaica, she goes into schools. Because again, true innovation starts with education. And she gives of her time, shifting the lives of young people, regardless of the fact that she's an executive coach and a trainer and a speaker. That is where she wants to innovate. And I want to charge you here today, teachers and leaders and business people, you can be that ripple for Barbados, or wherever you're from. But you have to make a decision. You have to make a choice and make a decision that your profit is not the only thing that truly matters. That at the end of the day, if you want crime to go down, education has got to be your priority as well. It is your business as well. It's not okay to just close your nice fancy doors and go home at the end of the day and say, well, honey, we had a good day at work and the business is thriving and we're 500% over. No, it's not enough, because you have a corporate and social responsibility to your country. But that wasn't enough. She wrote a book because she realized that her feet may not go into all the doors in the world. She may not end up in Delhi, or she may not want to go to Russia. But she wanted to have impact globally. She wanted to share the message of hope and infinite hope and resilience and tenacity, but again, mindset shifting as the innovation. So she wrote a book called The Mango Girl, documenting her life, her experiences. And somebody somewhere, it wasn't that simple, picked it up and said, oh, we're going to make this a movie because it's a great concept. So the Jamaica Gleaner represented sometime this year. There's a team that went to Jamaica from Hollywood, and they're having this big conversation about how this film could take $4.5 million to Jamaica. But that started with a hero who had no cape, Birchell Whiteman. How many Birchell Whitemans do we have in this room today? That could be as many as you. I believe that true innovators are leaders who are not afraid to decide that it's not enough to just take from this world, take from this country. True innovators are people who understand that it's like a domino effect, that if you help one child, one family, then you can make the world a better place. And if you want to be the change you see in the world, I'm going to invite you to stand with me. Everybody, is that okay? Can you stand with me? I'm going to invite you to stand with me. And I'm going to invite you to do something you may never be asked to do before. I want you to think about your business, about the change that you can become, about how you can be that innovative change agent for Barbados, about how you can start thinking that rather than having 5 holidays per year, I'm going to give one of that money to a school. I'm going to think about my payroll and the staff I really have in my organization. And I'm going to ask myself a really hard question. Am I really being the best version of myself? Am I showing up to my staff, to my peers, to the schools around me like St. George's School, who I fell so in love with? That school has been abandoned, and the press, I was on the plane, and when I said I was going there, the press was so bad. And by the way, you must realize now that little girl was me. And I fell in love with St. George's because those kids represented me. I was one of them. But because somebody took a chance, somebody was a real, true innovator. Somebody said, I can help you up. Sometimes we have to bend down and pick up other people. I've got 9 siblings, and they've done nothing with their lives, no matter how hard I try, because their minds were not innovated. Their minds weren't shifted. I can't help them. I can give them, but I can never help them. And that is why I want you not to give. I want you to teach others how to be innovative thinkers. So if you could play that song for me in a second, what I want everybody to do is to close your eyes. This is one of my favorite songs, and it resonates in my soul, because this is what I want the world to think of me when I leave. I want everybody who come into contact with me to say, because I met her, I think differently. I want you to listen to this song, and I want you to truly think in your heart, in your soul, and ask yourself, what more can I do to shift my country? The employees I have, the people I go to church with, the kids I see on the road, the homelessness. I want you to think about it. And if Beyonce could come on the screen and tell you that I was here, that would be really good. Because That is one of my favorite songs. And I want you to think. I want you to close your eyes and think.
There was something that meant something that
Can we have some volume, please?
I left behind. When I leave this world, I'll leave no regrets. Leave something to remember, so they won't forget I was here.
How will Barbados remember you? How will your staff remember you? How will the kids who are hungry this Christmas remember you?
I've done everything that I want.
How about that lady who cleans your desk every day? Do you even know how she's coping? How are her medical bills paid? How are the sick in our home coping?
I wanna say I lived each day until I died, and know that
Do you have excess that you can give to somebody? Change their lives.
the hearts I have touched will be the proof that I leave, that I made a difference.
Will you make a difference? Because that's what innovation is, right? Will they say you were here? Because I know when I leave, people will say I was here. But I made a choice to make that the case. You right now in this room have the opportunity to be a Bertrand Whiteman, to be a Mavis Taylor, to be a Ava Brown. You got that choice. You still can change today. So were you here? Because I was. I want you to think about it. I want you to make a decision today that when I leave this room, I'm going to fix my report. I am going to pay it forward. Because it's never too late to start. Today is the day that you must make sure that we remember that you and you and you were here. Because I guess what? You will not forget that I was here. I made sure. But you too can make sure that everybody in your community know that you attended Innovate Barbados and it made a difference in your life.
I was here.
Thank you. So, I was here. And because I was here, thank you. Because I was here, I want you to leave this place understanding that the world is a better place if we start looking after each other. I want you to leave this place realizing that it's not okay to just make profit. Because if you innovate minds in Barbados, then when British people and American people and people are looking for opportunities to bring their businesses somewhere, because there's no crime, because there's great opportunities, they can come with their manufacturing, it impacts the change that you want. And one of the things that I love about what I do is that recently, of 23 people in the world, I was chosen to be part of, could I have the slide with Gandhi, please? I was chosen to be part of a documentary series. And it says, and I love the quote by Gandhi. It says, you need to be the change that you want to see in the world. And if we even can't get it on the slide, that's okay. Oh, there we are, we got it, and I just skipped it. So I'm in this documentary, and it's focused exactly on that. I want to leave you with this thought, that in order for you to create true innovation in Barbados, you've got to be the change you want to see in Barbados. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Ava Eagle Brown. It's my pleasure to serve you. Thank you very much.